Hi, thank you all for joining us today. I'm Jacqueline Giannoni. I'm an account executive across the managed team, and I have 6 years of digital advertising experience. And my main focus is driving strategic partnerships in the Northeast Territory by utilizing custom insights across and data-driven solutions across all screens, omnichannel approach across verticals such as retail, restaurant, telco, travel, tourism, etc. And I'll let Eric introduce himself.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Eric Carlson. I oversee the platform sales of the self-serve team here at GroundTruth. Been at GroundTruth for 4 years and excited to see the growth that we've had as a company and the different solutions that we have. And we're excited to speak with everyone today.
Great. So just a few housekeeping items before we get started. All participants must be muted, but we encourage you to engage in real time within our chat. So let us know if you need any questions or where you're dialing in from, be interactive. And then a full recording will be sent out to all registrants. And there's a Q&A function if there's any questions during the presentation that Eric and I can address at the end. So just a little overview, we'll go over GroundTruth, just a little one-on-one, and then some best practices for retail strategies. And then Eric's gonna go into best practices for entertainment strategies. And then we'll get into the fun Q&A section. So a little bit about GroundTruth. GroundTruth is the leading location-based marketing and ad tech company. We create unique audiences and targeting solutions from our proprietary mapping technology, Blueprints, to enable marketers and agencies to reach the right people in the right moments and ultimately drive measurable outcomes, whether that's in-person visits, clicks, engagements, awareness, whatever your brand KPI may be. And then for people joining us for the first time, I'll just give you a little bit of background of how GroundTruth really differs from the rest. We have a multi-layer approach of verifying a visit. There's 3 determination sets. It's location, place, and visit determination. And this is the way that we utilize our visitation proprietary data. Our visits are used to power both targeting solutions and measure impact on real world behavior. And we are actually the only ad tech provider to be accredited by the Media Ratings Council for our location, place, and visitation data sets. So that's just a huge accomplishment for GroundTruth and one of our big differentiators. We also own and operate WeatherBug, which is a proprietary app for ours. It's one of the top rated weather apps. If you don't have it, I encourage you to download it. And with that, it allows us to have exclusive data for GroundTruth's collection only. Go to the next slide. Perfect. So we'll dive into our retail best practices. So in the next slide, we can dive into insights mostly about the holiday that just passed, Mother's Day, and we'll use this as a baseline for consumer behaviors for upcoming holidays such as Father's Day, graduations. And what you can really tell from this snippet is we can see that there's really a lot of last minute shoppers that are going into store the Friday or Saturday before and really getting those last minute gifts. So that's really intriguing for what's to come for both Father's Day, graduations, really getting those last minute gift givers. We were able to see that there was an uptick in foot traffic for both department stores, jewelry stores, malls. So we can expect that similar, maybe not jewelry stores per se, but maybe more of like Home Depot type of stores and hardware stores for Father's Day. And then, yeah, so that's just a first glance at that. We can go to the next slide and talk about another upcoming event. So like I mentioned, these are some of the upcoming summer events: graduation, Memorial Day, Father's Day. So retail is really big at holiday tentpole events and where we can really reach key audiences to heavy up maybe 2 weeks before, or depending on the holiday, a month or 2 before, especially if your brand has specific events or promotional offers. And we can really increase foot traffic to your locations for these upcoming tentpole events and reach those key audiences, whether it's parents, moms and dads, last minute gift givers, and we can really incorporate that, especially back to school's right around the corner, and sooner or later it'll be holiday right around the corner. So we can go into the next slide. So there's really 2 ways to for best practices for retail. We want to focus on real-time targeting as well as audience targeting. So the first one is real-time targeting, and there's basically 3 buckets. We have proximity, on-premise, and neighborhoods. So proximity is a great tactic to use to generate immediate awareness for limited time offers, especially for those holiday temples that we just talked about. And we can really heavy up during key visitation hours because we're able to see on our end if there is a time of day that most people are visiting your retailer, and then also maybe a specific day. So we can incorporate a weekend heavy up if we're seeing that most people are going into your location on the weekends when they're out and about doing their errands and shopping. We can also incorporate an on-premise strategy, which is really great to capture consumers in that final purchase moment when they're already out and about in a specific shopping center or along the retail block. Because of our Blueprints proprietary mapping technology, we're able to see when users are actually within that retail parking lot and really encourage them to go into your store while they're already in that mindset of shopping and that key mentality. And then the last real-time moment is neighborhood. So this is basically a lookalike based on visitation to understand consumers' visitation patterns across the different neighborhoods associated for that store or retail store, engaging those communities to visit that. And we're able to capture and see where they're traveling from to their nearest retailer. So those are a little bit of the real time. And now we'll go into the audience that will couple this. So with audience targeting, there's really four main buckets that you're going to really want to hit for your retailer. So location audience is a historical based audience to a single touch to a brand. So we can target your loyalists and make sure we're capturing and reaffirming brand messaging to your loyalists, especially for promotional offers. And then we can also reach a lapsed loyalist where we're really re-engaging customers who have not yet visited your location in the past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. We can really customize and tailor that visitation window. So we know users have been there in the past, but maybe just not in those recent days. And then we can also use a lookalike strategy. So we can scale up your campaign by connecting you with audiences with similar visitation patterns or brands that they're also visiting and high indexing with to showcase similar visitation patterns of your core customers and really engage people. So say your core customers you think are moms, but where else are those moms going on their daily basis? Maybe they're going to coffee shops or grocery stores, and really capturing that lookalike audience to drive them into your retail location. And then the last step is conquesting against your competitors and really stealing that market share from your competitors by connecting with those people who have visited those competitors in the last 90 days. And then we can also layer on if you have first-party CRM data, and we can also utilize Coachava, which if you have an app, we can target people who have your app downloaded for that retailer or competitor apps downloaded. So we can really enhance your targeting solution, and it really will complement the behavioral and location audience targeting for your strategy. And then we encourage you to utilize an omnichannel approach where we can reach your key audiences across all screens to optimize towards your KPI. So this is a way where we can see that we're utilizing CTV and OTT, where we have a QR code there, people who are on desktop, social, and then of course, mobile. Go to the next slide. So like we said, we encourage that full funnel approach. So the first step is brand awareness with the CTV and OTT. We would encourage to reach those shoppers across connected TV and those large screen devices to drive that brand awareness, which will eventually lead to that purchase intent, especially for retailers that are a little bit more of a higher purchase. We want to really engage them and maybe make them acquainted with the product before making that purchase. It maybe isn't an impulse buy, it's more of a buy that we want to make sure that they're fully aware of all of the different functions of the buy and make sure they're comfortable. Then the next funnel is consideration, and we can utilize social and desktop there and really extend your reach to influence consumers during key research moments and when they're sharing with their family and friends across social as well. And then the last lowest funnel is visits with mobile, when we can reach consumers as they're on the go, in and out of their daily routines while they're adding products and different items to their list while they're out and about, maybe on the weekends doing their shopping and going across different shopping centers. And we actually have a fun creative step by adding a promotional messaging to drive urgency, especially during those key holiday tentpoles that we've mentioned. We have seen a recent GroundTruth campaign perform 14% better engagement with the creative that has that promotional offer. Like here, you can see there's a 50% with that GIF really flashing. And we see that there's more engagement with those types of creatives than non-promotional creatives. So really encouraging you to use those promotional creatives, especially within that month to 2 week window before those key promotions and holiday tentpoles. And then this is just a case study where Coach utilized our targeting. We were utilizing a cost per visit model, which is a first to market payment model that allows brands to pay only for store visits that were driven by GroundTruth. So not on a CPM purchase. We're only charging you if we drove a qualified visit to your location. So the benefits of this, our offline guaranteed performance model, is to provide really observed visits only and not projection or panels. We're driving that one-to-one visit to your location and they're guaranteed. And we can utilize this in two ways. We can either include loyalists and help you retain those customers and acquisitions, or also just exclude loyalists and only try to conquest against your competitors and acquire customers from your competitive set. So Coach utilized this strategy for cost per visit and incorporated some of the other targeting tactics that I discussed: location audience targeting for loyalists going to a retailer, as well as lookalike audiences. Where else are those Coach visitors going that we can kind of capture that lookalike audience and really extend your reach and drive those visits? And then retail block targeting, messaging consumers when they're in the retail block of that location and making sure while they're out and about, we're engaging those key high purchase intent audiences to drive them in. So that was their objective, and those were the targeting tactics that were utilized. And then this is the outcome. We were able to drive 30,000 visits to the campaign across a 2-month long. It was a holiday specific flight, and it exceeded their benchmark, Coach's benchmark, by 50%, which is huge. And we were able to see a 16% engagement rate increase compared to our benchmark. So people were really engaging with those ads. They were going to those stores, and that was all because of the cost per visit targeting model that was utilizing our key strategies that we mentioned before. So just really a great way to utilize these strategies and drive foot traffic into your locations during these key tentpole events. And then I'll pass it over to Eric for the entertainment portion.
Great. Jacqueline, thank you. That was fantastic. I actually found myself taking some notes. I'm like, wait a second, I know most of this, but that was really good. So thank you. Yeah, so you'll hear some similar tactics and get into some more strategies as well when it comes to just entertainment as a whole. But certainly what we've seen, foot traffic to entertainment venues certainly starts to increase now during the spring and into the heart of the summer, as events have certainly picked up. Opening day for baseball, for example, saw crowds are 1.5 times higher than last year, which is also a great sign. Entertainment venues are driving revenue, increasing foot traffic, and they're even using the space for more creative things and types of events as well. But for example, Governor's Ball is coming up in June, Bonnaroo is coming up in June as well. So all of these festivals are on this year. And so there'll be a lot of foot traffic and a lot of opportunities to reach this important audience and to capture them as well. And then, of course, the Blockbuster releases. I don't think I'm alone when we have Maverick coming up this weekend, by the way, Top Gun. And we saw 2 large foot traffic increases with Batman, the latest Batman movie as well. So certainly foot traffic continues to increase in these locations. And there are some great ways and strategies that you can use to reach these audiences, not only in real time at the moment, but also to build audiences to reach them at a later time as well. So we can jump to the next slide, please. So just to get a little bit more granular here, because at the end of the day, everything that we're talking about too with audiences, et cetera, and foot traffic starts with our blueprints. So you'll see the green here represents the blueprint itself, right? So we're actually creating a perimeter around a physical location. It can be a building, it could be a university quad, it can be, we've blueprinted I-95 through the state of Florida. So at the end of the day, it's using our technology. We also will create 3 layers, right? So let's say this is a concert venue, then we can do the parking lot as well. And then also the retail block. So people are eating out, say before an event, something like that as well. So we'll do a retail block, which is a larger area, to give you the opportunity to reach these individuals at different times too, during the stage even of the event itself. The value is being able to track visits to the location, but also to capture the devices, understand the individuals that are there, and being able to retarget them at a later time, maybe for a different type of event or a product, something like that as well. So we can create custom blueprints for you based on the type of geography that you're looking to target. So it all starts with the blueprint itself, and then we're able to build targeting capabilities on top of that, and then even build audiences that you can target as well. You can jump to the next slide, please. So how this references them when we're tracking, for example, just national movie theater traffic. So this is all, again, originates from the blueprints, and we can see and track historical foot traffic patterns as it continued over the course of time. And we see, the spikes. It's interesting, like the spikes keep going up, and even when it goes down a little bit, that's still higher than it was previously. So we continue to see activity like this, and I'm sure we're going to as well through the course of the summer. Which is a great sign, knowing that foot traffic continues to build, and then being able to capture and reach those audiences and be able to motivate their behavior as well. We can jump to the next slide, please. So now what? So here's the value as well. Let's get a little bit deeper and understand who these people are so that you can understand these individuals for more granular targeting as well, and to understand just who these individuals are based on their behaviors, where they're going in the physical world. People often want to target contextually based on what people have searched for or gone to on certain websites. And our CTO puts it really well that where you go in the physical world is one of the greatest ways of truly reaching someone contextually because of where they physically are. So we can see, for example, that people that are entertainment audiences, they fall under categories like sports enthusiasts and golfers and moviegoers. So let's take a deeper dive. Now, these are all insights that you can get from GroundTruth as well. If you're working with the managed service team, they can be pulled for you. If you're working with the self-service team and have your own account, you can pull these insights, and we can show you how to do that as well. But for example, moviegoers, we have a high propensity to go to Dollar General and to Dairy Queen. Love Dairy Queen. Sports enthusiasts are going to Bojangles and Equinox, for example. While golfers are going to HSBC Bank and to Ferrari dealerships and to Adidas stores. So understanding more, taking a deeper dive into understanding who these individuals are, and then being able to target these specific components as well, and these categories, so that you can have a better opportunity to be more efficient and effective with the messaging that you're giving as well. We can jump to the next slide, please. Now we talk about targeting, right? So there's the behavioral targeting. We've seen multiple behaviors from an individual, so we put them into a certain bucket, like going to theaters, like going to live music events, or going to movie theaters, for example. Now let's talk about location-based targeting. So let's target a specific stadium or certain movie theaters, for example, or an amusement park, or even broader, even a certain geography. But now you can target based on location. Now, using location as a base, let's take this another step, right? So let's layer on top of location actual behaviors. So the apps that people have on their phone. So people that have Fandango on their phone, for example, people that have StubHub or Ticketmaster. So let's take those individuals, knowing that they have those apps on their phone, and let's layer that over a location that you're looking to specifically reach. So it's starting with location, layering in other opportunities for targeting to make it even more effective and efficient as well, and just getting a little bit more granular. And all the things that we're talking about here too, I just want to point out that these different tactics can all be used across mobile, desktop, CTV, OTT. So the different types of targeting tactics can be used across all channels, and visits to locations can be tracked post-ad exposure from each of those channels as well. So really an important differentiator in the marketplace for GroundTruth, and one that we're really excited about, but also just important to reiterate that all the channels that we have available, you can use these tactics for, and also track visits post-ad exposure. So we can jump to the next slide, please. Now, so we talk about targeting capabilities. Let's talk about weather. Certainly an important element when it comes to events, right? If it's outdoor concerts, or if you have a museum or something like that that's indoors. So owning and operating the app WeatherBug, as Jacqueline mentioned, gives us the capability that you can actually, this isn't a creative rotation, but you can actually put a specific budget to weather triggered targeting. And it can be forecast or current conditions. It can be temperature, it can be precipitation, it can be humidity, wind, etc. So say that there's going to be an outdoor concert coming up in 3 days and the forecast looks great, promote it. Looks like rain, but you have an event at an aquarium or a museum or another indoor venue that you're looking to promote. what a great time to promote that. So using weather triggered targeting efficiently and effectively can be really strong. And again, it can be used either in real time or as a forecast, up to 3 days as a forecast itself. But really an exciting component that we have. And again, just to reiterate this, that we can execute this again across all channels, right? So desktop, mobile, and CTV OTT. So we can jump to the next slide, please. And then also think about dynamic weather targeting, right? So if it's sunny, cloudy, temperature-based, rain, et cetera, executing the right creative unit that fits that moment and fits that condition as well. So just an extra layer when it comes to weather triggered targeting, and the capabilities around that and how it can be used most effectively for whatever specific messaging or action that you're looking to drive. We can jump to the next slide. So when it comes to just overall campaign performance as well, one of the things I wanted to point out is that we can also run video as an ad unit, right? So video can be run as an ad unit on mobile. It can be run as an ad unit on desktop. And then of course, video for CTV OTT. So just know that as well, that it can be executed that way. We see high visitation rates from video and high click-through rates on video when it's run as an ad unit on mobile and desktop. So a really powerful creative unit that can be used. And then not surprising, right? The shorter length of the video is the higher likelihood that you're going to have a video completion rate as well. The key is to the components of the creative of the video as well, just to make sure that it's engaging. And then also we can certainly use specific targeting, the right audiences, things like that to reach those individuals. I wanted to point out really quick when it comes to targeting as well, that oftentimes people will say, well, I only want to be like on MTV or VH1 because that's where the individuals are going to be. But if we have the right individuals knowing that they've been to movie theaters, for example, or they have the Fandango app on their phone, let's reach them based on the content that they're engaging with, not just running on one particular vertical, hoping that they show up there again, right? So someone who's been to a concert or a movie theater, they have, let's say they love gardening and they're on a gardening app, or they chose to engage with some streaming content around gardening. That's the time to reach them. So it doesn't have to be within a particular vertical of content, but reaching the person at the right time when they're choosing to engage with the type of content that's interesting to them. We can jump into the next slide, please. CTV. All right, so CTV, a lot of buzz about CTV, and rightly so. Really exciting about all the different capabilities around it. The targeting capabilities are really strong and exciting. And then also the opportunity to use QR codes. QR codes, as we know, are back. Amazing, better than ever, and so often used now as well. And so when it comes to CTV, so just a quick step back, OTT and CTV, you've heard both of those mentioned today. OTT represents all streaming content, right? Content that you get on your phone, that you get on your iPad, that you get on your desktop, and then also the television in the living room. CTV, or connected TV, represents just the television in the living room itself. So just know that there are two different ways that you can buy streaming video content across any device, or specifically on CTV, meaning the living room television itself. So then we talk about, you can do location and weather trigger targeting through CTV, premium inventory, foot traffic attribution, post ad exposure, very cool as well. Then you have the QR codes, right? So the beauty of the QR code is as someone mentioned, which I think is such a great point, no one accidentally scans a QR code. So you might get an accidental click on an ad on a mobile device, but no one accidentally pulled up their phone, engaged the camera, and held it up to a QR code to capture it. The beauty of the QR code as well is that it can then take you to whatever specific landing page or content that you want the individual to be directed to. So we could jump to the next slide, please. A little more in depth about QR codes. So we can create them for you, no charge at all. And we can customize the look, include your logo into it. You just let us know where you want to drive the individual to. But it's just a great way to really find connections with the consumers. And there's also great reporting that we can share later too, just about examples on the back end of who are the individuals are that are actually scanning these codes. Where do they live? What, other attributes about them as well. So it can be really interesting to learn more about who's actually engaging with your QR codes and choosing to scan them too. And then just being able to retarget these individuals. So really unique and creative component that can be used. Like I said, we can create these for you and customize the look of them as well. And then you can drive them to whatever action you're looking to do. Also too, like if you have if you are streaming content yourself, have the code connect someone to download streaming content as well, right? So you can direct the individual user wherever you want them to go. And so it's just a really valuable tool and an extra layer of connection and taking them on a next step down the journey for your brand or whatever specific outcome you're looking to create. Can jump to the next slide, please. And also too, the value of bringing it all together. So CTV and mobile ads. So what we've seen with clients that have used both is that it actually increases the overall visitation rate when combining mobile and CTV together. So again, anytime you use multiple channels, they work together to elevate in the mindset and to the individuals themselves of the brand, of actions to take, et cetera. So just powerful to see that by the two working together, we actually see a higher visitation rate as a whole. So just something to keep in mind as you're thinking about the media mix that you want to execute. We can jump to the next slide, please. So then how do we bring this all together, right? So think about also just when it comes to execution, pre, during, post, always on, et cetera. So, pre-event, use some of our audiences that we've already created and that we exist, or app ownership to reach those individuals ahead of time, get them excited, drive ticket sales. Springsteen just announced his new tour coming up, very exciting. So think about pre-event, how to use some of the audiences that we do have already to get people excited and to engage them, to drive ticket sales, to drive awareness, things like that. During the event itself, geofence, use the retail block to capture people in the area. Also capture those individuals and retarget them at a later time. So either a specific partner or product that you're looking to promote, or another event that could be similar, have similar characteristics, or you want to reach that similar audience. So the key too is using those blueprints to build an audience that you can retarget at a later date. Which then same thing post-event, right? So retargeting individuals, knowing the key to retargeting when it comes to location, you're starting with knowing where people have been. They've taken an action, they've been to a location. Now you can retarget them at a later date, wherever they are, but knowing where they originated from, knowing where that device has been previously. And then certainly always on, right? Great way just for consistent promotion. Also too, if you have a specific location, for example, or a summer concert series or something like that, use weather trigger targeting. What a great way to just remind people a couple days ahead of time, amazing weekend ahead, here's a great way for you to spend it. And then I've mentioned as well, just the app-based targeting as well. So whatever apps they may have on their phone, we can target individuals based on their location using that as a starting point. And that could be it. Yes. So thank you so much. Certainly we're available for any questions now, or you can follow up as well. And you'll be receiving a copy of this webinar so that you can review and follow up as well. Again, with GroundTruth, you can use us for managed service. You can use us for self-service as well. So just important to reiterate that we're really here to help you execute and achieve your goals in however you want to do that.
Yeah, I see Brenda asked a question in the Q&A chat. Can the same video size be used for CTV, OTT for mobile and desktop? So we do have a whole creative spec that we can send you, and it kind of breaks down the specs needed for each different channel. So whether it's CTV, OTT, mobile, or desktop, but we can use that creative. It just needs to be a slightly different specs for each channel. So we can definitely follow up with you for that.
Great. Well, we'll wait another minute or so to see if anyone else has questions. Otherwise, If you have a contact at GroundTruth already, please feel free to follow up and ask any additional questions based on some of the content and things that we've had here today.
We have another question from Glenn. Are the QR codes limited to online advertising through GroundTruth, or can they be incorporated in offline ads as well? Actually, with our partnership with Flowcode, we're actually able to take our QR codes and we can even embed them on your linear spots and then give you that first party data of people who have scanned that. And it's really highly qualified users because, as Eric mentioned, you don't intentionally scan and you don't unintentionally scan a QR code. So yeah, we definitely can incorporate those as well.
And yeah, and also too, that's a great question because they can also be executed on direct mail, for example, or we're launching direct mail as well. So QR codes can be used on there as well. But yes, QR codes can really be used any place where someone has the ability to scan it.
Logan, where in the campaign do you choose what apps your ads show on? So like Eric mentioned, we're not really targeting people specifically of where they're going and what apps they're in. We're targeting them based on their visitation patterns and their different audience profiles and where they are in the real world. So it doesn't matter if they're in a gardening app or if they're in an MTV app, or if they're watching a show, wherever your audience is, we're going to serve them based on the parameters that they're that specific audience for you. So it doesn't matter exactly what app they're in or what they're watching.
Just a quick follow-up there. I will say that in the self-serve platform, there is an area where you can choose a category that you would want. So if you want to be in new, you can uncheck categories that you don't want to be in. I'll put it that way, I guess, because every category starts as checked. But Jacqueline makes a great point too. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily what someone is in. We don't care what they're interested in. It's more about where they've been or where they are at the moment. So, but just know that that capability does exist within the platform.
Yeah, because if there are specific categories that you truly don't want to be a part of, we do have that functionality. So that was a great point. And then Susan, is there a comprehensive list of apps GT integrates with? So where we're serving the ads. So we can send a site list basically of the potential apps that you would be served in as well. So we can follow up with that. Does anyone have any other questions in the Q&A chat?
Looks like there's one question about setting up a campaign. Can you choose both CTV, OTT, mobile, and desktop? You can. They have to be set up as separate ad groups, though. It can't, at the moment, that's not able to be created all as one ad group campaign, but you can build a campaign with different ad groups, selecting each one of those channels that can work together.
Yeah, and we actually highly encourage that because that's the full funnel approach that we were both talking about to engage them in different spots across all screens. So we can do one campaign, but it would have to be those separate ad groups.
More information about direct mail. Yes, very exciting capability that we're beta testing right now that we're going to be rolling out soon, which is audience-based direct mail. So meaning that we can use our audiences as a starting point to execute direct mail. So if you want to reach people, for example, that have been to AMC movie theaters or have been to Target, for example, things like that. One of the, oftentimes a barrier or a key cost component of direct mail is purchasing an initial list, right? And then using that comes from a third party to then use direct mail to. So we're going to be able to use our audiences. So there's no fee for that we've already built. You can then create a direct mail campaign that goes to those individuals based on where they've been in the physical world. So something that we're in beta, as I mentioned, we're in beta testing right now, and we'll be rolling out actually very soon. Initial tests are going really well. We're really excited about it, and something that is going to be a great value to add to our overall channel mix.
Another question from Jeremy. Do you upload multiple creatives on the same campaign? Yes, we can definitely do multiple creatives within the same campaign. You can also kind of do an A/B test and see which creative performs better. Like I mentioned, for retail specifically, we found that promotional offers perform better and engage users and drive them into their locations more efficiently. But we definitely can incorporate multiple creatives and see which one performs best and help you for future optimizations and campaigns as well.
What are the suggested budgets for campaigns? Not an easy question because it depends on so many factors that go into it. Part of it, what are the goals that you want to achieve, the geography that you're looking to run in, the number of locations that are of importance to you if you're driving visits, the type of creative that you're using, the type of channels that you're using, things like that. So I know it's a question that people often wish there was an easy answer to, but it's not. So more in consultation, I think, with your GroundTruth representative that can really dive in a little bit deeper, truly understanding the goals that you're looking to reach, the different components that you're looking to use. And I think that's probably the best way to come up with an overall budget. I know, Jacqueline, any other thoughts about that one?
No, I definitely agree. Having a GroundTruth rep consult you and see, depending on so many different factors and how many available audiences we're trying to reach, we definitely would need to take all of those into consideration and make our designated recommendation for that budget.
But good question, because it's often on many people's minds. So thank you for asking that.
Yeah, it's not as cut and dry as we all hope.
Right. Good questions, everybody.
Yeah, this was great. If there's any other questions, let us know. We're happy to answer any, or we can follow up after.
Great. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today. As we mentioned, you'll be receiving a copy of this as well. And feel free to reach out to any of us or any of your contacts at GroundTruth with any additional questions or any ways that we can help. But thank you again and have a great rest of the week.
Thank you.